Hey everybody, this is Mike with Big Mike Podcast. We're going to get right to it today, straight up. We ain't going to do the intro because stuff's moving at rapid speed. So let's get right to it. McCord, how are you doing today?
Not too bad.
All right, let's get after it. So look, a lot of things are happening. There's a lot of scenarios out there. People are starting to trip about every little detail. There's no information. Trump's not all over the place, but there's a couple of things, and we're going to go over some game theory today. This is strictly game theory.
Okay.
I'm going to go over some things. We're going to try to get a hold of the EOD technician, Joe, that was at the Capitol, and we're going to try to patch with him in probably about 2 minutes, just to let you know that we're actually on top of it, so you guys can get some real insight, because what's going on, and I'm seeing people, they're taking little things, they're making these little 3-minute videos, 8-minute videos, they're keeping people so dialed in, they're sitting there chewing their nails off because they want some type of information, something to happen, because people are in a downward panic right now about every little thing. So I'm going to go over some details, some key details of what's going on in the Capitol, and then we're going to go straight to Joe and see if my intel is the same as his intel. And we're just gonna. I haven't talked to him in 4 days. I haven't talked to him. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, about 30 minutes ago, he gave me a call. He goes, "Are you able to speak?" I said, "Let us get this stuff set up in the studio, and we'll get a hold of you." So I'm going to be bringing him in. James is working on that phone call right now. You can't see it because the camera's not set up, but he's working on getting that all set up for us. So let's go over. So what I'm hearing, what reports I'm hearing inside. Now, this is not big mainstream media because they're not reporting anything. It's all smoke and mirrors that they're reporting. So my estimates are around 4 blocks of the National Mall right now is pretty much, it's fenced off.
You can't get through. I saw a video on Daily Caller standing in the middle of an intersection, and all 4 any way you go in that intersection, there's a blockade.
Okay.
And everything.
So let's get on. Let me get through this so we can get Joe on here, and let me go through these things so we can get Joe on, because I know some of the people probably want to hear what inside, working. In such a capacity with the Secret Service and things like that, they're going to want to know the bee's knees. So it's a complete green zone, occupied green zone now.
Yep.
So I think it's a full-blown military operation. But the strange thing I've been hearing, I'll check with Joe on that. I'll ask him. I'm not even going to bring that up. I'll wait to that question there. But the amount of, what was that? The amount of fencing going on around the Capitol Mall, I guess you call it the National Mall area, is anywhere from 37 to 40 miles.
Ooh, that's
of
a
fencing.
lot. Sheesh.
That's what my estimates are. So
that's crazy.
And a lot of it is brand new, from what I'm getting it.
Well, obviously temporary new.
No, not temporary. Well, how do you give you temporary new?
They can actually have to remove it, Michael. They're gonna have to remove it.
I'm talking brand new, not temporary new.
I'm talking about
make no sense.
They're gonna be running. They're gonna be moving it when they're done.
All right, let's move on from there. Temporary new. But my question is, with the brand new fencing, this is just me. Was this planned? Because I worked in weapons companies and stuff like that to manufacture equipment. I mean, helipads, you name it. All kinds of helo decks for Coast Guard cutters and stuff like that. Even if you're doing fencing, and even safety fencing around, it takes a minute to build those. Not something you slap together.
Not if you got 80,000 troops.
80,000 troops are not doing manufacturing.
No.
Okay, we're moving on from that one. So what we're going to do, this is just some of the stuff, but do we got Joe on now?
Yeah.
Or we got Joe in. We got Joe, he's an EOD tech. He's right down in D.C. in the belly of the beast right now as we speak. What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's going on, Big Mike?
Man, tell us what's going on, dude. I'm hearing a lot of stuff. I haven't heard from you. You went into your debrief. You kind of went 0 dark 30 on us for about 4 days. For me, it's unusual because, me and you were, we stay pretty close, but when that kind of stuff happens, when national security is involved, when you go 0 dark 30, I pretty much know you're doing your job and something's up. So you guys are hearing my intro coming in on talking about this crazy stuff. So what are you seeing that I'm not seeing?
Well, so first off, I want to start off, I want to be completely transparent with your audience. I'll get into some question answering, and basically just through the eyes of, if you will, a civilian walking around,
right?
Because I'm having a hard time, kind of sleeping, working odd hour shifts, and also I'll just kind of go walk around and just kind of see things for what they are. So I won't get into like the operational side or anything you could reveal any key data as to what we're doing to keep people safe.
Yeah.
But I'll go through some day to days of just what I'm seeing and what it's looking like now compared to what it looked like when I just got here over a week ago.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, Mike. It's a ghost town. It is an absolute ghost town. Everywhere you go, you can go entire city blocks and not cross paths with another person.
That's what I've been hearing. Like I said,
and more often times than not, if you do cross paths with another person, it's a law enforcement officer of some magnitude, or secret service, or National Guardsmen coming, walking back and forth from their hotel rooms to the Capitol building.
Okay. I got one question for you because this is information, and tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. I don't know here on this, but I heard through the grapevine, and maybe you can clarify this up. I don't know if this is true, but 500 Border Patrol agents showed up yesterday from Texas.
I don't know if it was yesterday. I think it was probably longer back than that, probably about 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay.
I don't know how long they've been staging, but yeah, I've definitely been seeing a very, very pronounced border controls and U.S. Customs presence, which they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was just wondering why they would remove so many border agents from the border at this particular time when the news is reporting we got caravans rolling up from Guatemala, and why would that would be such a move that they would think they would need 500 border patrol agents and customs agents? Wouldn't you think with everything going on at the border would be key during inauguration?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's funny about that, Mike, and I can kind of speak more to this now because the stories broke on the mainstream media, which is kind of like a green light to kind of, talk about it. But the funny thing is, a caravan did leave from Honduras within the last couple of days, heading north toward the border. And from what I've gathered, obviously from an intel standpoint, but from what I'll report on what I heard on mainstream media, and this wasn't just regular mainstream media, this was ABC News. The Democratic Party specifically got a hold of them and told them to turn around. Now is not the time. Verbatim.
Yeah, I got reports of that too. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard that before. I was privy to hear all that information, that information about the tournament, and tell them to slow down because we're going to go over some game theory here in a minute. I think I'm kind of did some notes earlier about hearing that and what's the theory behind all that. So we're going to go that. So let's stick within. Is there any developments as far? I've been hearing. Get me wrong. I've been hearing about a lot of law enforcement. Is that true? I mean, can you give us any insight on that? Like tons of it?
Yeah, that was really weird. You're starting to see law enforcement agencies from all around the country showing up. Yeah. Then that was something that when I first saw it, I was pretty surprised. I thought that there were more things in place as far as jurisdictions and state lines were concerned, but I've seen people from as far away as Minnesota and NYPD.
Yeah, I heard they're coming in by the bus loads. That's what I heard.
Literally.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, I heard they were coming in by the bus loads. I mean, it was hundreds and hundreds. The hotels, like the lobbies, would just be jam packed, bumper to bumper, that kind of deal, getting all ready to check in. That's what I'm hearing. So I don't know if that.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. There's definitely. I mean, it's one of two things, Mike. It's either this is very quickly becoming the absolute safest place in the lower 48, or they are, jamming 7 gallons of gunpowder into a 5-gallon barrel. If you catch my drift,
I know.
the powder references.
Yeah, for all y'all, this is the reference. It doesn't mean that's actually happening. So don't you people out there don't freak out and go crazy. So I'm gonna press you on some questions. I know some of the stuff you can't tell me, but I want to try to get as much information as I can to anybody watching our podcast right now or listening to us right now. So we're going to get this up pretty quick. So this is today. So, and we're the 18th of January right now. And so we'll be loading this up. So as soon as we get done with you, we're going to be hot footing and getting this information loaded up. So I want to ask you one particular question. And you're in the military.
Yeah, what you got, bud?
What do you think the purpose is? Now, look, we did a podcast the other day, and I was telling, there's strike groups moving in. I'm hearing submarines being pitted off the coast of Virginia. I'm hearing subs out there in California. Aircraft carrier strike groups all in position. I'm hearing about municipal airports outside D.C. that are being shut down or being monitored by the military. What is your spidey sense telling you, like, hey, because you've never seen a buildup like this so fast, so quick for an inauguration? To swear a man in, that doesn't make any sense to me, does it? I mean, that's how I'm looking at it.
That's a great question, Mike. So this is the first time I've been included in one of these types of events. I don't want to say it's neat and great, because neat and great would be able to go to the Smithsonian Museum or something like that.
Right.
In the meantime, but everything is literally shut down. And I mean, I want your viewers to really drive that home. I mean, literally everything is shut down. With that being said, my spidey sense, my gut, my mind tells me 2 or 3 different scenarios. Probably the most universal and applicable scenario would be that it's just an absolute show of force, given the events of a week and a half ago at the Capitol building, that perhaps the lawmakers and officials were so freaked out that it's a complete reaction. We often say in the military that everything's an overreaction.
Right.
One guy walks across the grass, the sergeant major's grass, and yells at one person. They wind up doing an entire brief to the company at the end of the day. Everything's a very much so major reaction.
Yeah, I can see the the kind of reaction that the lawmakers had, but in some of the information that's coming out, it seems like the lawmakers knew this was kind of like pre-played, staged up to me, and they knew what was going on. Most of those people inside there knew what was going on. And look, if you were asking for National Guards, the Capitol Police was asking for National Guards to roll up, hey, well, I don't think we can handle this, and then they're getting denied by the Department of Justice, and then all of a sudden, this pops off and everybody wants to act appalled. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It happened. But what they're doing in the media is doing is really painting this broad picture about everybody who was up there on the grounds. Even if you weren't in the building, you were automatically guilty of something, sedition. And like I said,
that's always the play with the mainstream media. Like we saw an entire, and your viewers can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah.
Summer of love, right? We saw an entire summer of love. We saw complete opposite rhetoric from leadership and officials from the left. But yet you have one particular instance, and now it's everybody's labeled as domestic.
Well, I find this funny that all summer long are people we know and people in your area where you actually reside. You're in the epicenter of it. We're not going to say where you're located from, but you know what I'm talking about. That just, they let the shit go on. People's livelihoods were burnt down. Here's the one thing that kind of really ticked me off, and I've seen this, and I know the people who are probably going to view this are going to understand it. But have you noticed how quick they are to persecute everybody? FBI is doing an investigation. FBI. Where was the FBI when all the other shit was going on?
Well, did you hear the latest public service announcement from the head of the FBI today?
No, I did not. I wasn't. We were knee deep working.
Grotesque. It was essentially, to sum it up, to paraphrase it, was a message that he had pre-recorded. It wasn't a video. It was a message he had pre-recorded and sent to the news agencies that basically was saying, turn yourself in now. We're going to find you. We're going to use every asset we can to find you. If you were there, turn yourself in now before we beat down your door.
Yeah, so, he wants to do that.
I'm paraphrasing,
Right.
But those are like
That's pretty much what he was rattling off. But my thing of it was, they didn't act like this when our cities and stuff were being burned.
No.
So the governors didn't want National Guard there because they were afraid of the optics and afraid of what people would think. Now I know, looking back, even if you're
Mike, what they were afraid of was that it was going to end.
Exactly. So they wanted to prolong it out, and these governors that aided and abetted this type of thing should be answering to the man soon. We're going to game theory some stuff. I'm going to go over some stuff, but we're going to roll over here to Jace. Do you have any kind of?
I got a quick question. Now, are they allowing civilians into DC?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's civilians walking around. People walking their dogs, lots of joggers, people out. I don't want to say living their normal lives. I think the residents of DC are very frustrated. How could you not be?
Yeah, I'm looking on. Good.
I want to preference one thing with that answer is the people, and this may come as a shock to some of your listeners, but I want to preface this. I think it's a really important narrative to have out there, and this is something that really took me off guard. The Secret Service agents that I've spoke with, some of them by and large, just like me and you, regular everyday people, they put their pants on the same way as me and you, one leg at a time, and it is very thrillingly overwhelming how conscious they are about people's individual freedoms and rights, and not wanting to overstep those boundaries, and really being empathetic toward their policing tactics. I've been very impressed with the Secret Service up till this point, and how they've been addressing people. And so much so that even when they were clearing areas out, the way that they were really taking their time to deal with some of the homeless people and people that were obviously mentally ill, they could have easily rough handled or gone physical with, but they chose to go alternate means to try to bring those situations in. I was really impressed to see
the people don't have them people are probably just as shocked. I mean, when you start seeing military roll in and these damn walls get thrown up everywhere, and this is what they're used to. I mean, I can understand the Secret Service handling people with white gloves and things like that, but after all the madness settles down, not the madness, but clearing certain people out just for their safety, so they're not in certain zones and they're not getting popped for this and that for something stupid. I do want to touch on one subject. I don't know if you're privy to speak on it, but the incident that's all over TV right now, it's white lighted everything. The guy pulling up with fake credentials with a Glock 19 with 800 rounds behind it, whatever. I mean, I wasn't there. I just getting with some of the stories I'm seeing. And do you have any information on that particular event that you can kind of disclose on? Did you hear anything that you're able to? If you're not able to say anything, just don't just. You know what I mean. You know how that goes. If you can't say nothing,
let me. If you would on that one, for personal reasons, I need to hold that one a little close to the chest. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. See,
if you want to go into some detail about what you found out through your sources in media, you'll probably get just about as far as I could letting the audience know. But that one I need to hold a little to the chest. Wink, wink, stomp, stomp.
Yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll just go ahead and we'll leapfrog that one.
I do want to get back. Can I go traverse just back a hair to James' question about people being allowed?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
So I wanted to say that for the most part, you know where Chinatown is.
Yeah, I know where Chinatown is in DC. Yeah.
So I mean, all the way up until about 2 blocks past Chinatown, you can pretty much still maneuver pretty freely, and the public's getting around pretty good with that. But man, once you get to the area, buddy, nobody in, nobody out. Now we're talking a lot of pins.
Yeah, because I just looked up the directions to DC and zoomed in. Mike saw it, and it was like every single street, major street, any intersection had a do not enter symbol on the map completely around DC.
Yeah. Now, one other thing I will preference is there are a lot of military
Yep.
military personnel
Yeah.
that are stationed at various intersections.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that ability to move freely throughout the city is definitely down to pedestrian foot traffic and bicycles. You know, it's definitely going to be a lot harder to maneuver a vehicle around the district just due to the roadblocks. But as far as foot traffic is concerned, one can still get around pretty well.
Okay.
Pedestrian wise.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I had to take care of some personal stuff.
But and I'll just preface this, and I'm just going to repeat what I heard on the mainstream media earlier, just once more, so I don't get into planned ops and things of that nature. But they are going to be shutting down. I believe it's 3 bridges from Virginia into the district starting tomorrow.
During the inauguration.
Yeah. The inauguration is on Wednesday, so I mean they're pretty much shutting
for the inauguration.
Yeah, they're the inauguration's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're shutting it down tomorrow.
Yeah, they're going to shut it down 24 hours.
Did they tell you how long it's going to be closed for?
No,
I didn't think so either.
And that's not even me trying to be cool on that. You know, a lot of that's need to know and.
Yeah. Can't go any further.
I'm not that much of a need.
Okay.
So, we're going to go through some game theory today. This is completely game theory. This is just a little overview of how I'm looking at what's going to happen in the next 48 hours. I could be wrong and I could be right. But I don't want to get your hopes up. I want everybody to stay calm. I know there's certain people out there that are just on pins and needles, wanting to they want something to happen so bad, they're freaking out, and they're just, this can't happen, and your fists are up in the air. Look, so we're just going to game theory. This is 2 game theories that I'm working on. Joe's going to be involved. Joe don't have no idea I was going to bring this up, but this is going to rile a couple of you people up. And look, in the comment below, give us a thumbs up. Just give us a thumbs up if you like what you're hearing. That's all I'm asking. Just give us a thumbs up. If you want to leave a comment below, letting us know what you guys think, go for it. Just give us a thumbs up. So you don't have to subscribe at all. None of that crap. I'm not going to ask you no more to do none of that. Just give us a thumbs up, and we'll just move on from that one. So I'm not going to chase people down like these other people are on these different platforms. I know for a fact that I think you told me, right, you were talking to James in the headset a little bit ago, you were telling me how many people from social media that have their own platforms are down there just chasing everything.
Oh, Mike, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to see. There's certain perspectives that you only get when you actually see it in person.
Right.
And I've seen. I don't want to name any people out of respect for your program. You know, I don't want to put you in a position to where you have to get into a keyboard battle, a keyboard battle, if you will, right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about no damn battle. Bring it on.
I've seen some people known throughout the alternative media universe, YouTube and other platforms. I've actually seen them boots on the ground here covering the Capitol building and other places. And Mike, it's a fucking embarrassment.
Yeah, you were telling James through the headset. I know you guys were, walking back and forth, but you were telling me like that you're getting a mix of just like you hear me said it before when we started was like you're getting someone in the chat room. They'll take a little bit of information and they'll run with it.
Yep.
They'll make an 15-minute video and then they've got 200,000 to 300,000 views, and then all of a sudden that blends in as gospel, and people are confused as hell in the comment section. They're going, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right, because no one's really taking the time out to vet their information, and that's what we're trying to do here. I'm not trying to give you just, this is what I heard Joe Bob.
Matter of fact, Mike, you mind if I call out a particular station?
Yeah, go for it. I don't care.
I don't care.
So I'm down by the Capitol building earlier, and there was a newscast set up from, I want to say it was called Channel 4 UK, Channel 4 United Kingdom. And to hear this guy commenting on what he was seeing, you see my little air quotes there. It was, this guy's from the United Kingdom, had a British film crew with him, and he's reporting on trained killers that are trained to kill on sight and have been authorized lethal force with unlimited capacities of ammunition, and they're trained to kill on sight and everything's armed to the gills. This is something that you would see in North Korea. This is a news channel organization out of the United Kingdom reporting on our soil. Michael, these National Guard kids didn't even have magazines in the magazine belts.
That's what's driving me crazy is that just because you get some journalism credentials that you just, myself, I'm not even a journalist. I'm just a pissed off American that just got my own platform that's going to, okay, well, let me go deep dive and see what I can find to bring the proper information forward to maybe have someone do their own thought process and go, hey, man, he's putting some common sense down, and not just getting a 30-second or 40-second bite off the TV, and to them to come over across the pond and then blanket our soldiers, especially National Guard, as trained op killers. Me and you've been around the military our whole life. We know who the pipe hitters are. We know who the hammers are. We know there's outfits in the National Guard. FS can still be attached to the National Guard and all that jazz. We know that. But for the average Joe out there, the National Guard is not the pipe hitting crew you think they are. I'm not putting down our military. I'm not putting down none of that because a lot of those people who are National Guard actually put some real military time in. So I'm not knocking none of those down. But what we're saying is, as far as the amount of training compared to regular Army to National Guard, it's a large, big green open field on that. Am I right?
Well, especially when you consider not non-combat deployed members. So you could tell a service member in the National Guard or the Army if they've been deployed, because on their right shoulder where you have your American flag, you'll also have what they call a deployment patch. So once you've been on deployment, you've been in a combat thing on a deployment for X amount of time, you're allowed to wear that deployment patch for the rest of your career, okay? And if you don't have that deployment patch, that means you've never been in a deployed environment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and to know if you've been in combat, if they're a non-infantry MOS, they'll have a knife with a wreath that goes around. That symbolizes that you've been in a combat environment, that you've either taken fire or you've returned fire, or both. And if it's for infantrymen, you'll see a rifle, like an old style flintlock musket that has a wreath wrapped around it. It's the same, but that's what they call a combat infantry badge. For everybody who's not in the infantry, it's called a combat action badge. So not a lot of deployment patches, not a lot of cabs or CIBs going around throughout those ranks. Not knocking them, but for the National Guard, 90% of their train up for soldiering comes in a pre-deployment environment, meaning you're slotted to go on a deployment. You're going to have 4 to 6 months blocked out on your road to war, and that's where you're going to get your train up. You're going to do your 9-month deployment. You're going to work missions every day. You're going to come home. You're going to debrief. You're going to decompress, and you're going to go back to everyday life.
Right.
That's how it will normally work. And with a lot of these personnel, you're not talking about people who've been deployed environments or combat environments at this point in their careers. Not saying it won't happen,
right?
But I mean, I'd say 80% of them are they're non combat.
They just don't have the experience yet.
They don't have that experience yet.
Well, I know if you weren't down there as a support capacity for what you're doing, that you would have just myself. I would have just been like, as soon as I heard that, I would have been in their ass immediately, because that's the type of shit journalism that's going on every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Making things out to be way bigger than that.
Big Mike, I don't want to interrupt you, but don't think for 2 seconds I want in their ass.
Oh yeah. I think what's going to end up happening is these reporters. If you're out the beat reporter, you're going to start getting confronted. I promise you, it's coming. This is nowhere near far where you think you're protected, especially the mainstream media. You better take heed and you better take warning. It's just like when that woman ran up on Chuck Schumer and she called his ass out, and she wasn't even a Trump supporter.
No.
She went off on him. She spit some knowledge.
You ready for this, Mike? I'm about to coin one for you. You ready for this one?
Drop me a coin.
Bro, this is going. What you're seeing with these journalists, people getting called out as far as journalists are concerned.
Yeah.
Bro, it's the new age of stolen valor. Mark my words.
Yep.
The new age of stolen valor. Yep. That's
Put that shit on a t-shirt, buddy.
Yep. Well, don't worry. I apologize for the pings and dings coming in. We got information coming to us right and left. My phone is going crazy. I know Joe's phone's going crazy because I'm trying to do this and we're trying to keep him FaceTime right here at the same time. So, like I said, just bear with us. This show's going to get better and better as we go. More equipment's going to be bought, cameras. We're going to bring in some more people that can focus on that side of the stuff where we can focus on this end is getting us the proper information to you guys. So I know, and I'm praying to God, I think we got our sound dialed in, and I truly apologize for the sound quality on the last video. That was my fault. We made a big, terrible mistake by not hooking up a couple of audio cables, and that's why we had tons of reverb. So we're going to promise it from this point out, we're going to check every P's and Q's along the way to make sure the sound is.
I'll take that blame since I'm doing all the sound.
It's not me. It's not the Big Mike podcast. It's James who did it. Slip Rock over there. He did it.
Oh, Slip Rock special.
Yeah, Slip Rock special. So, let's game theory. Now this is going to be crazy.
It's going to be a fun time here.
Yeah. When I say game theory, this is just theories. It's just like a game, okay? They do this kind of same thing in the military. I don't know if they call it game theory or whatever they call it, or in certain branches they call it shooting solutions. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Wargaming. I call it game theory because I'm not in the military, so we're gonna game theory this out. So what I'm about to say is really gonna trip a lot of people out. Okay? Some people might get mad. Some people might not. Y'all got to excuse me for 1 second. I got to go around this real quick. I'm getting some kind of feed real quick. Give me 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
No, so James, I did want to tell you too. It's been really interesting because since I've been here since last week, where I'm situated for my quarters, I have seen that barrier move closer and closer and closer. And closer. I'm a pretty good ways away.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good ways away from the quote unquote green zone. But man, I can only imagine what these poor folks that live in this community, that live in this area, have got me thinking.
Well, I do know that's the reason why Trump did sign the Stafford Act for those businesses and people who were, with all that going on. How's that?
Fix your filter. You kicked the filter off when you had to
Sorry
go
about
around
that.
and grab something.
We got 1,000 things going on in the next room over there. I had to look at something real quick. Your point. What were you and Joe getting into while I was?
He was saying about since he's been there just the last week, that where he's at, it's like the barriers are getting closer and closer and closer and closer to where he's at.
Great. This is great. This is when we're going to come into.
Now, Joe, real quick, we're talking about green zone. Can you define a green zone for the people that don't know what it is?
Yeah, for the most part, green zone's like a protected military zone in which there's no unauthorized weapons or personnel or vehicles allowed within that area.
Yeah, that's pretty much. You just summed it up in layman's
Gotcha.
terms.
That's what I wanted you to do because some people don't know.
You didn't have to go full. We didn't have to go full military definition on green zone. Most people can get the gist of what's going on. So,
well, green zone could also be like the parking lot outside of an Amazon campus. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you that 100%. Or
I parked in the green zone
campus.
Yeah, I parked in the green zone parking lot.
Okay, so look, let's go ahead. We're going to game theory. Like I said before, I had to go run real quick and take care of that solution outside the other room here, which it just seems like every time we're on a solution, somebody has something they got to
that's fine.
So, all right, game theory. This is a lot of people asking, Mike, what do you think is going to happen in the next 48 hours? So I'm going to go down and give you this theory. It's a theory. I'm not putting this out there. You guys can take it and run. You guys can go do your own research. But from what I'm seeing, this is just my theory. This is not.
You got time? You got just for a second, Mike?
Yeah.
I just want to preface it. these are strictly theories, and this isn't a direct reflection on what we might actually believe or anything else. This is just a fun time theorizing exactly what could happen.
What could go down? Okay, so let's go into this. Game theory 1. Okay, what I'm about to say, it might piss some people off, but this is just listen. Joe Biden will be inaugurated, right? He will be inaugurated in a virtual inauguration, okay? That's step 1, okay? But in my eyes, what that does, it completes the crime.
Yeah.
It completes the crime 100%. It seals the fate of everybody who was involved in the inauguration. Once he puts his hand on the Bible, you know he's lying, okay? Once you know he's lying, and he set forth under the Constitution, because we know everything was unconstitutional. Okay? Do you see where I'm coming from with that part?
Yep.
Step 2, he will leave the Capitol, but it won't be at the Capitol building because they're going to make this a virtual thing. I think it's going to be a Supreme Court or some hotel lobby room. Okay. Now hear me out now. This might be wrong. I don't know because we ain't got live feeds everywhere. We don't know what's going on. But from what's happening, we can pretty much determine. This is what I'm pretty much determined. Okay, so from what I understand, he demoted his Secret Service. He was scared that the Secret Service agents, so he demoted every single one of them that was appointed on his staff, and he brought in a secondary private security firm called Checkmate
you talked about that
to do
last
his security. First and foremost, if you're a truly elected president, the Secret Service is your boys, no matter what goes on. They take an oath, just like soldiers take an oath. Okay? You cannot have a secondary private security outside the U.S. intel offices that comes in and does your security. It will not happen, won't happen. I will go to court with you on that. I will bet you some money on that. What do you think on that, Joe?
It's interesting because, contrary to popular belief, the Secret Service falls underneath the Department of the Treasury. They're not attached to the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
They're not attached to the CIA or the FBI or any of the other fancy three-letter agencies. They are their own agency under the guidance and umbrella of the Department of the Treasury.
Right. So, but they are basically the police department for the administration, correct?
Absolutely. And, it's not just all agents either. They have a lot more uniformed police probably than they do agents.
Okay.
That's what a lot of people don't know about. This is why you're on this show, so you can clear up a few different things. Because they have arresting authorities and jurisdiction all throughout the entire, as defined to me, they have arresting powers and jurisdiction within the District of Columbia at any event in which the president or members of cabinet are attending or the route during clearance. Exactly.
Bingo. They come down to Gideon's, Texas,
right,
for an event in the middle of a rancher's farm, a rancher's pasture. During the time period that event is being set up and being carried out, they have complete arresting powers within that vicinity. And from wherever the person of interest lands and that entire route clearance to that event, they have complete arresting authority within the parameters of that scope.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to move on. Thank you for that little insight right there, because that kind of puts all the theory together. Now listen to what we're saying. So he will be moved or wherever, or he gets sworn in or whatever. Okay. Now, this is me, this is personally. From what I found out, he has not been, I guess, he doesn't have any access to any type of presidential detail at this point. Okay? Even though he got sworn in. So he doesn't have access to the limousines. He doesn't have access to any of that. So what I'm thinking is, since all these celebrities, from what I hear, are going to be coming into town, I think he's going to be in some slick Rick celebrities Rolls Royce. I think they're going to roll through the Capitol. It's going to be a big parade scene, and you're going to see the mainstream media, people crying on TV, and, oh my God, there he is, our new president, which ain't going to happen. And they're going to go to the White House and get denied. Okay. And at this point right here, this is when it starts getting really serious because everybody's, did he sign the Insurrection Act? Did he not sign the Insurrection Act? This kind of thing. He signed the Stafford Act, but he signed this one. They get denied at the White House, and then this is when it starts. Okay? You're going to see a total media blackout on social media.
Yep.
In certain areas, you're going to have blackouts. Now, when I say blackouts, this is dead communication. Because even the mainstream media was complicit on this fraud of an election. Okay? So, what happens and we're going, well, how do you do that? Well, what everybody don't understand is the White House, since he's been in office, they've been working on alternative means of communication, EBS systems, the White House Broadcast Service Communications Board, all that. That's in play. Okay? So they will black out. They can take it. What do you think these blackouts are for?
Yeah.
These blackouts in these different areas, that shit just don't happen, y'all. Okay? This is a beta test. This is going to go down. I believe this. Now, this is just a game theory of mine. I'm believing some of this, 50-50, kind of like right now. But it can happen in many, many different ways. So this theory can go back. It can reverse itself, whatever I'm saying. So that's step 4. Total media blackout. That means your cell phones are down. That means no comms are down. That means everybody starts really freaking the hell out. What do you think? You think I'm right there? What do you think, Joe?
I don't know. The only hole that I see in that particular war game, I Googled, did Trump, and mind you, I Googled in air quotes.
Yeah.
Literally Googled, did Trump invoke the Insurrection Act? And all the stories that I'm having pop up, like, various fact checks from like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, are saying Trump did not invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807. I don't know if it's a misinformation
campaign
type situation.
Yeah,
but
we don't know.
Do you have any positive intel that he did in fact invoke the Insurrection Act?
I'm bringing it up right now. I'm trying to bring it up right now. Keep going.
I don't know.
We'll go back to that.
From what sources I have, and this is funny because I'm trying to I want to get I want to get the actual information to where I could say, yeah, he actually physically signed it. But here's the problem with that is that when the White House does things like this, they usually put it up on whitehouse.gov, correct? Executive orders and all that kind of stuff. So the Stafford Act's up there, okay? And that's the only way, in my heart of hearts, I hope he did. Or, he's still the president until the 20th, or he can sign it at a different undisclosed location, and it's on and we don't know about it, because technically the president does not have to disclose what he's signing to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think, oh, he's our president. No, the president's job is to protect the continuity of the United States and the security of the American people. That's his job. So I don't think he has to let everybody know exactly whatever security decisions he's making, because it's part of national security, under the veil of national security. It doesn't mean that there's a sinister act if he does this. There's a sinister act to be the reason why he needs to do this. But I think 50-50 shot he signed it. I think we're going to find out in the next 48 hours in the back of my mind, because there's certain things and certain events that doesn't make sense at this particular point. Is the executive orders that he signed 4 days ago. And he knows if Biden's in office, he's going to rip those executive orders. That's the first thing all Biden's talked about, is going in there and just dismantling everything Trump did the last 4 years. Doesn't make any sense. So there's no way in the world this man was elected legally in an honest and fair election. I don't believe that at all. So
I want to touch a little bit on that, Mike.
Okay.
So right before we started the show, I was doing some math. And I was trying to come up with some real concrete figures. And this is one thing that really makes me scratch the head, okay? When I start looking into this, when I start looking into the actual numbers, and for your viewers, I Googled a bunch of statistics from the last census to try to figure out what the total population was and things of that nature. Not even registered voters, but actual total population. So I'm going to go a little quick through this. So if you need me to stop, pause, or we can narrate on some of these figures, Just hit the timeout button on me.
No, go ahead. We're doing two things at one time, so you go ahead and run that down, and bro's over here checking some other stuff out.
So 328 million people total in the United States. That's total people in the United States. All right, right off the top, minus 30 million people. That's your illegal immigrant or non-documented population. Okay.
Correct.
There's 5.1 million felons that Google claims were disenfranchised from being able to vote in the 2020 election. So that's 5.1 million people. So you got 328 million minus 30 million minus 5.1 million. All right. There's 16.9% of the population is over 73 years old. So that's 61.7 million people in the country are over the age of 73 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
That's going to be our X factor. We're going to come back to that figure. That's 61.7 million. 74.2 million people within the general population are under the age of 18 at the election day time period. So those are people that are not legally able to vote yet. That's not getting into the people that are overseas running missions that may have or may have not voted, or other people living abroad, or accounting for how many missing persons that there are, because that's also a statistic. How many missing persons? That didn't come to me until just now. But here's the real funny thing: you take the 74 to 76 million people who voted for Donald Trump, and then you take the 80 million people who supposedly voted for Joe Biden, and minus that from all the different factors, Mike, that only leaves you with 6,268,000,000 people that didn't vote out of the total population.
Yeah, you see where you're right there doing those numbers, and you see where they're just the mainstream media is pushing this and pushing the data and all that, because it's the same thing that Navarro, Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and all them have been beating the drum going, hey, man, no, stop throwing the bullshit up against the wall thinking you're going to make it stick, because you're not. They're blatantly all out, blatant, just lying, circumventing the election. It's basically what it is, okay? So this election was fraudulent from day one.
Well, Mike, let's really war game this for a second. 6,268,000,000 people. I'm sorry, 6.2 million people. Now, out of the people that are 73 years or older, we have to give or take how many of those people were actually able to get on the internet, were actually able to reel in their votes or things of that nature. But Mike, there's never been that much of the U.S. population vote in anything.
No.
Anything.
So you mean to tell me Joe Biden, you got some more votes than any other president in presidential history, but this guy was sitting 8 people to a lawn chair in his backyard talking about how he was going to change the world. You didn't change anything. What you did, you just told everybody that you were going to cheat and you were going to sit in your backyard, and you got it made in the shade. Same thing. Hillary Clinton knew this was going on. They tried to pull this same thing with Dominion voting machines back in 2016. But what it was is that the voting machines were already pre-locked in to a pre-locked vote count, okay? And then they weren't prepared because they didn't have the people in position and the other entities in play to change the votes like that. And then when the Trump won and just knocked the shit out of her on that one, they weren't prepared for that. So that's why when you look on people's faces like Hillary and them, Hillary was like, what the hell, I thought I had it in the bag. You can go back and look at those video footages. She actually thought, she was like, what the hell happened? They had
an entire barge full of fireworks on the other side of New York City ready to go up. I remember when Donald Trump came on stage and said, hey, we'll buy them 20 cents on the dollar. You don't have to take a fool off.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, dude, this was, and then they knew, okay, well, Nancy Pelosi for the last 4 years, he's not going to be president again. We're going to remove him. Nancy's in more hot water than I think she thinks she even knows she's in. She got caught straight up communicating with Antifa leaders, mayors to prolong this. What you did, you destroyed the fabric of these cities, these people who were raising their families, these business owners. You literally just cut people's throats. So you're complicit in the crime as well, too. And this is when we'll go back to the game theory.
Yeah, let's hit that game theory. I just wanted to put those statistics or those actual numbers out.
Yeah, I think
obviously there's margin for error within this.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, that's the one thing that I really haven't seen anybody break down yet. Is somebody just sit down and do the math: total population minus actual eligibility minus the total votes for Trump minus the total votes for Biden. What are you left with? I mean, that's. No, I don't know, man. You know better than me, but
all I know is this. Well, all I do know is numbers don't lie if they're true numbers. Okay, you can throw out factors and indicators. I mean, there's so much evidence. I mean, it's appalling how much evidence is out there. We even got people from other governments, put in affidavits. I mean, Italy's a wreck right now. The stuff that went on in Germany, it actually happened in Germany. Everybody needs to stop saying it didn't happen. Yes, the CIA operators went in there and took that out straight up. You see how quick that conversation got swept under the rug. You see how when something's going on with the mainstream media is if they lightly go over it 2 minutes and that's it. You don't hear nothing about it. Then pretty much they know.
Unless there's people going into the Capitol building.
Exactly. And the FBI wants to act like these guys, I mean, like we just talked about that earlier. But anyway, we get back on this game
theory. You think it's Bonnie and Clyde?
What's that?
I said you'd think it's Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, yeah. I know.
The amount of resources they're pulling into.
Oh, yeah. Well, now all of a sudden they want to pull the resources. Where were these resources before? So it's stupid. They actually think the American public is stupid. We're on to all the BS that's coming out. See, what you did is like I said before, you thought this pandemic was the play, and what you did, you made a mistake because what you did, you gave Americans time to stop. Hey, let me look into this. I ain't got nothing else to do. And when you did, you opened up Pandora's box, and now you're trying to figure out how to get all that shit back into it. That's all it is.
Only one way, Mike, that's the memory hole. 1984 Orwellian society, because this narrative is never going away.
No, it's not. So, back to the game theory. So we talked about the media blackouts, social media thing going down 10 days, I don't know, 7 days, whatever it's going to be. This is what I think what's happening. Now, hear me out. Now, I'm probably not the only person thinking about this, but I'm going to say this, okay? The big thing I'm thinking is the way that Washington is on lockdown right now is not for the protection of the people rushing Capitol. Because no one, in my mind, and when you come down to common sense, no one's going to be trying to run up. I'm sorry, you got military out there. If shit starts popping off, dude, you're just going to become cannon fodder. Pretty much. You're done. The military is just going to take your ass out completely. I don't give it. You gave them all the rights. If you want to start rushing the fence, it's not going to happen. American Trump supporters know better, and there's things going on. You're going to try to see where we're going to try to get painted as the evildoers, but we're going to try to keep this ahead of it. But the reason why that this is that game theory, Joe. Hear me out. They got it on lockdown because I honestly think it's going to be the Nuremberg trials part 2.0. I think people are in trouble.
That's an awesome theory. I like where you're going with this.
I think people don't see the optics. I don't think they think that this could happen. But all my information is telling me you got municipality airports on closed or either locked down with the military. You got roadways that are going to lock down. You're going to lock down bridges. Now, everybody in Washington's in Washington right now for the inauguration. No one's going anywhere. So this is a perfect time to slap everybody upside the head. You're not going nowhere. We got this, military tribunals can happen right there in D.C. They do it all the time. And you're setting up Nuremberg Trials 2.0. And with the blackouts going out, what's going to be broadcast through the emergency broadcast system and the White House Broadcasting Service is going to be the trials. Now, I think you're going to see people spill the beans, come clean for a lesser sentence to not be, put in front of the firing squad. And I think you're going to see people just vote. I think you're going to see suicides. I think you're going to see people trying to split, go hide, but it ain't going to happen. There's nowhere in the United States you think, or the world, you're going to be able to hide once all this information gets out. Okay, we got to move right along because we're getting past our show limits, but we got to go to Game Theory 2. Real super quick. We're going to tie this in Probably about. Let's try to get this in 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you
Chief,
find?
let her roll, Mike, let her roll.
Did you find anything at all, James?
Well, I noticed that we haven't heard a lot from Biden, correct?
No, we're just getting little tidbits.
Okay. Who
Little prepared speeches.
Who pushed all these military and National Guard people into Washington D.C.? Does anybody ever know that yet? Has anybody found that out yet?
Yeah, who gave the order? That's what everybody
Who told all these people to come to D.C.? Who did?
Well, I think the mayor can request it, correct?
No, I think it was a request by the Congress.
By Congress, okay. But
National Guard, not regular military. It's two separate things.
Okay, but what about regular military? How many militaries in there?
That's undisclosed. We're not going to talk about that.
That's the whole thing.
Because like you said, it comes under the act of posse comitatus, and there's different variables and different nuances. I got different theories on that, but
okay, hold on. Now, are those National Guards federalized National Guards?
Close to none regular military. That's what I'm thinking.
This is right here.
Oh, close to none.
Can he federalize the National Guards that are in D.C.?
No,
he can't.
They're soldiers. They're already federalized.
Okay. Well, in the Insurrection Act,
because they fall under the jurisdiction of their governor of the state, which they hail from.
Okay, so under the Insurrection Act, what's it say?
Under the Insurrection Act, the President of the United States can deploy U.S. military and federalized National Guard troops within the United States in particular circumstances, such as to suppress civil disorder, insurrection, or rebellion. What's that last
or rebellion
word? Rebellion. What does that tell you?
Well, so let's war game that for a second, Mike, and I'll tell you this is for me in your childhood that most people don't remember. They tried this during the Rodney King riots.
Yeah.
In L.A. in the early '90s with the Marines.
Right.
And it went super poorly. I mean, because the Marine's going to do what a Marine's going to do.
Yeah,
right?
they're eating crayons ready to roll, baby.
Yeah.
Maybe, and let me tell you, right? I mean, there's video footage of it. You can look it right up on YouTube and other portals where there were Marine squads that were bounding from block to block, doing bounding movements with saws and riflemen and grenadiers, and buddy, they were open fire live rounds, and it was not good. I mean, it was a send the Marines, let's get this under control, and it was holy shit, stop the fucking Marines, this shit's getting out of control.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's going to go down because I think you got so much activity, so much presence. The airspace is obviously a no-fly zone. I heard there's certain areas of Delaware, Virginia that are also a no-fly zone. The airspace got broader. The D.C. airspace got broader.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why for all this is because I think some of the information, go back to Game Theory 1, is that some of this vile information about these satanic people that are involved in the government is going to come out, and it's going to just involve so many other people and so many different fractions of different governments. That's why they're all talking about like the airspace.
Well, I mean, what were me and James talking about earlier with Ghislaine Maxwell? So you still haven't heard so many silver platters have been handed to this administration, one after another.
Well, that's where we're going. This is Game Theory 2, so let's go ahead. That's perfect. You said that. So,
well, let me finish that out real quick. Right here, it says on the next section 252 of the Insurrection Act, whenever the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, assemblages, or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impractical to enforce the laws of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, call into federal service such of the militia of any state, and use such of the armed forces as he's considered necessary to enforce those laws or to suppress the rebellion.
No, I don't think it's a good idea to even say anything about militia at this particular point.
I wouldn't say militia, but
that's just because it's a dirty word.
Exactly,
it's a dirty word.
Militia is right now.
Also, too, I think we got enough military, enough great people out there serving this country that we don't need us hillbillies out there. Believe it or not,
No, but this was
well, I know
that was from Quellen from the 1992 Rodney King thing. Joe
but what I'm saying is we don't need militias out there running the streets because you're going to get one faction that thinks they're running the show and the other faction's going no, and then you're going to have infighting and all. It's just because there's no discipline, there's no plan of action, there's no duty involved. You understand what I'm saying? So when that happens, people they're thinking they're their own general in their own mind, and that's what's going to happen. And that's why I always tell everybody, yeah, okay, you got malicious factions and all that. That's great. Okay. You use militia for certain things, but you don't use them for this type of thing, especially when we got the world's best fighting force on the planet. Let these guys take care of that job. That's what they're there for. That's why they serve. And let's just leave it at that, because that right there gets me ticked off when you start talking about militias and doing that, working with the military. It'll never happen in a million years.
Yeah.
Those days are over with.
Not in the current environment that we have now.
Hell no. It won't.
The militias have been so demonized.
Yeah. So let's game theory 2 and we'll get on with this because we're past our numbers. We're going to try to keep this in under 10 minutes, and then we're going to call it one. It's been a really good. I think we've covered some ground here. What do you think?
Yeah.
So, all right, game theory 2, worst case scenario. This is the worst case scenario. This one right here might panic some folks. Okay. And there's reasons behind this. This is why I got to have a good one and I got to have a bad one. Okay? Good versus evil type shit. Trump walks, number one. He just walks, right?
Okay.
Trump turns his back on the American people, said, I'm done. Throws his hands up, no more fighting, I'm done.
Don't think it's going to happen.
Hold on. Upon this was the biggest con on the American people to dismantle the United States. The biggest con in history. Okay? Art of the deal type shit. Hear me out. Okay? The reason why I'm saying this, and Joe just right here a little bit ago, if you caught what he said, is that they had so many things on a silver platter. Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, the election fraud, people getting caught red-handed one after another, the FISA warrant scandal. They caught him. They knew right out.
Obamagate,
Russiagate. Let's just call it mainstream media gate.
Homeboy out there with the Chinese spy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name. But anyway, the spy. So many people are involved. You're talking FBI, all the FBI agents, all the crooked top tier FBI
James Comey.
James Comey. Instructing justice. James Comey instructing justice. Hillary Clinton getting caught straight up lying on 30,000 emails. Her server. That right there, any one of us would have farted. Got it. We would have been under the jail. Okay? But this is game theory 2. It's the worst case scenario. Democrats get in, change all the executive orders, change everything Trump built on. Trump's nowhere to be found. Trump goes back to his day-to-day life, which I don't find that to happen anytime soon, because there was an assassination attempt on him and Melania about 2 or 3 weeks ago. A lot of people don't know about. And this is what I think. I think this is game theory 2, that Trump just conned everybody in the United States and a lot of people right now. That's what they're thinking. Trump turned his back. There's no way. And that's just worst case scenario. My situation, I'm gonna try to get this in. We're going under 10 minutes. The reason why, like you were just looking up the executive orders, correct? Did you look up the executive order for the energy one? Remember we were talking about that the other day about the heat fusion?
Yeah, but it's like they took it off for some reason. I don't know why.
They took it off, the executive order? See how weird that is? I'm talking about right now?
Yeah.
Is that the executive order type shit? Here's my thing. Why would Trump be signing executive orders 4 days ago, and he knows Joe Biden's going to be going through them just rip-housing, and some of this stuff is going to be implemented in 180 days from now? Why even bother? Think about that for a second. Why even bother?
Touch base real quick, because he knows what's about to happen.
This is where we come down to game theory 1.
Here, let's do it. Can we do a scenario 3, Mike?
Let's do a scenario. Let's go. You run to scenario 3. That's my 2. We'll hear from you, and then we'll...
real quick, yeah, we're going to do that. Real quick, I'm going to finish out this insurrection. The Insurrection Act has actually been signed in recent history twice, 2006 and 2007. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is a this is the people that don't know about it, we've been talking about it, is a United States federal law that empowers the President of the United States to deploy U.S. military and federalized National Guard troops within I'm saying this again. I'm just trying to reiterate. Within the United States, in a particular circumstance, such as suppressed civil disorder, which is what we have right now, insurrection or rebellion, what do we have going on in Congress?
Insurrection.
And a rebellion.
At the same time.
At the same damn time. So
I think it also trickles down to the judicial too. The judicial Supreme Court.
What do you call a daggone a Capitol Hill anonymous zone?
Exactly. So, and that's an insurrection. So
that's an insurrection.
I'm gonna leave that there. Let Joe do his, and we can wrap this up.
Let's game
We're a little bit over an hour now.
Game 33.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Mike, we got to go deep. We got to keep running for a while. We got to go deep. Give the audience what they want. They want to go deep.
Yeah, I know. But what we got to do is
we got to go deep.
Well, what we'll do is we'll go deep, and if we have to touch base, come back. We'll do a part 3 with you on here. I just think we're giving everybody good stuff. I mean, this is not something to sneeze about. This is something to really think about. And hey, if you're liking this stuff, if you guys like what we're putting down, we're going to get more interviews like this. We're going to try to bring more interviews. Support us on Patreon. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. That'll help us out with the algorithm and push us right along. And we're going to keep getting better content. I'm going to try to get the proper stuff so people can and just go analyze certain things. I know people are upset. I know people are furious. I know some people are even breaking down and crying.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking around with this weird look like you're shell-shocked. But look, we're in America, baby. We're going to do our own thing. We're okay.
Pull up your big boy pants and let's do this.
Okay? All I'm going to say is...
All right, here we go. Scenario number 3.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here, Joe, and then we can end the show.
Yep. Let's get on
it. Check this out. I think this is one of the more apocalyptic scenarios, if you will. On the surface, it doesn't look so, but just hear me out. So a lot of people have been saying for some time that there's this big ace in the hole, that there's this trap that's just waiting to be sprung, right? That they're waiting for Inauguration Day for him to put his hand on the Bible, and then the crime's going to be completed. That's supposed to be, the big plan moving forward. You've heard this, echo chamber throughout, conservative medias for months now, for weeks, if not months. What if Joe Biden walks down to Capitol Hill, or say the night before, or the morning of, holds a press conference, says, I believe that I am the winner of this election. However, we are going to postpone this inauguration X amount of days, X amount of weeks, until we conduct a thorough, and I say thorough with air quotes because we know who's going to be conducting the investigation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-letter agency. Yep. Until we conduct an investigation, and then we're gonna move forward after that. Because I think the biggest problem that Americans have had in the last few months has just been the feeling of being in limbo. Who won? Who didn't win? Was there crimes committed? Wasn't there crimes committed? That could be one of the most detrimental futures because, man, I think, I don't want to say the Trump supporters are just ready to get it over with one way or another, but I think people to some extent just want to say, man, this is like watching the Super Bowl at this point, Mike, and you're in like the 27th overtime.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
Could you imagine being in the 27th sudden death overtime, and then they go, man, this is going to have to go about another 42 overtime.
Well, see, that's what I'm seeing on other media, and it drives me crazy. Fox News is prime example. Fox News, the blonde bimbo Lauren, she's up there today. I was watching her. The time for raw bullshit is over. We're Americans. We're going to make it through this. We got 4 years. Our voice will not be suppressed. Shut up. It's being suppressed right now. All you're doing is just fucking. They're probably going to be. I don't know, but dude, all they're doing right now is just Fox News, Fox Nation. All of them are just playing lip service right now because they know what could happen. Straight up. They're not really going to see. This is my thing. If you know the information, you got the information. Why is it that I'm not even a journalist. I don't even have the privy of having certain information. But you're going to sit there and just keep the bullshit going on, talking. Fox News is done. Newsmax doing the same thing right now, talking about like, oh, we'll be able to make it sure we're just going to have to fight for 4 years. America's been dragged through the barbed wire long enough. And I think, honestly, Trump supporters feel like we're in the 27th corner right now, and they don't know what the hell's going on, and we're tired of it, and people want to see some action. I was telling my youngest son this the other day. And he was like, when's this going to end? I was like, I can't tell you when it's going to end. But even the younger crowd's going, come on. The younger crowd that don't really care about anything but music and smoking weed and all, they're even going, can we just move on? You know, and I can understand that. I apologize for the beep, and there's all kinds of stuff coming in at one time. But that's my thing. I don't like the fact the way this kind of scenario is playing out with our kids. I know it's affecting James's kids right now, you know, dramatically. Mm-hmm. It's a psychological event, especially if you're younger. You can't, you know, kind of think about certain things. To a younger boy, there's going to be a generation that did not know what happened this time right now. You know, they're going to be so young, they're not going to know what happened. They're going to read this and go, what the hell's going on? We got to think about that, man. This is, you know, save the kids. Be honest with you. That means important.
Well, and get this COVID thing over with. I saw a poll today. 76% of Americans, whether they're liberal or conservative, don't agree with the impeachment trials that they're setting forth within Congress and the Senate right now. The main topic that everybody's talking about is let's get this COVID thing done.
Yeah.
Not let's get it under control or let's see what the next thing is to work. Let's get this fucking shit done. And the scenario that I just rolled out, scenario C, would definitely prolong any more resolve for COVID as well. And I think that's the biggest thing.
The funny part of it is I'm hearing a lot of it's just hearing. That's what I'm saying. I'm just hearing about a lot of stuff ain't going to be moving until around March. Well, that makes me think, okay, he did sign the Insurrection Act. Well, the actual inauguration date in true fashion, if you want to break it down, back in the day before they changed it, which doesn't make any sense, is March 14th, from what I understand. So it's just, man, I'm hearing reports now. Bill Gates was in Colorado buying land. He's trying down here in Texas, trying to buy land. It threw up some red flags. So I don't know if this is a consortium of evil getting ready just to drop the hammer and just enclose the United States in a bunch of bull crap. But I got a couple of more things I'm working on. I'm working on another show right now, working on show notes, and we're going to cover a lot of other rights that we have that's going to start really getting infringed on. And I think that's going to be, there could be a catalyst that could pop off, but I don't think this is going to be the catalyst this particular
Well, just remember, Mike, there is no right that is more important than public safety.
Yeah, I understand that. But see, with that, that's a loaded. I say
that in general.
Yeah, that's a loaded statement there. I mean, you can do so much just on public safety and national security. So, but I think we covered the waterfront pretty good today. I think, from what we talked about and what we discussed and what you're seeing on the ground there, and I'm pretty sure you're going to stay in contact with me, let me know what's going on, what little nuances. But if you go blackout, I pretty much know some stuff's going to happen in the next 48 hours. So if I don't hear from you, you know, I'll get the gist. I got other sources that are still emailing me stuff every day. So, but anyway, if you like this content, I appreciate you guys taking the time, checking us out with the interview. Joe, I appreciate you taking the time to interview out for us right now. You really didn't have to. You know, you're about to, I think you're getting ready to go back on duty here pretty soon. And so check us out. Support us on Patreon. Go ahead and hit us a thumbs up on this video if you like this video. And we'll be back. Give us another 2 days. I'm going to get some good information. We're going to see what's up. I think we're going to try to go live. Is that what we talked about?
Yep.
I think we're going to go live on the inaugurational day. It might be late. We might run long. So we might be able, depending on what Joe's schedule is, we might be able to pull Joe in at the particular time. He might be on the ground and might not. We don't know what's going on. And we'll go live right there and see and just give us our analysis of what's going on. So, but thank y'all. Appreciate y'all's time. Your time is valuable. I'm Mike with the Big Mike Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.